Good morning and welcome to Money and Mindset with the doctors. Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, known as Dr. Money, and Dr. Thyonne Gordon, story genius. Good morning, TG. How are you?
Good morning. Things are just lovely here. A little cloudy, but I think it's going to be a good day.
Well, I kind of miss you, not seeing you every day, but I know that we each have so much to do that I know why.
You know what's so funny, though? It's sort of like, how did today come back so quick? It almost feels like every day, because by the time we roll around to a week, I'm like, did I put my money in the jar? Did I do this? Did I do that? Oh my gosh, I forgot to call Stephanie and we haven't talked. Oh.
I know it changes things when things go on. And over the weekend, I was able to work with someone on the other show, the Dr. Money show, and all the, formatting and all of that stuff to get,
Absolutely.
Get ready. That'll be coming up real soon. It's coming up faster than we thought.
Exciting. So then you're not going to be missing me so much. You'll be like, why?
Exactly.
Can we do it once a month?
Exactly.
King Day, MLK Day, the only holiday that is actually a day where you are not to rest, but you're to do a day of service. Interesting. We always got to step up, as our folk do.
So I saw several shots of you out there. You were doing quite a bit of service.
I was doing quite a bit of service. Our family foundation, the Willie and Elizabeth Gordon Family Foundation, did lots of service over the weekend and all the way through yesterday. And it was really good. I said, boy, if we got a penny for all the service we did, we might be rich.
Well, excellent. Giving back. That's interesting because that sort of makes me think about our guest today, and part of what inspired her to take on her new role as a money coach and wanting to serve people. A lot of it had to do with kind of personal awareness while she was still a retired active executive. I'll let her tell her story when we introduce, but I think today's show is going to be really interesting. We've been creating the buildup about money and more or less paying yourself first, and also overcoming the mindset around if it is you had any objections, or if you felt in any way limited or constrained about the idea of paying yourself first. Because for some people, it's a real emotional trigger when you start talking about money and talking about what to do with the money, and more or less taking the position that you're worth the money and worth allocations being made for you first before everything else. It's like,
Dr. Money, it's so, as I've asked the audience to go back and take a look at their earlier stories and their relationship with money. Of course, we do the same thing because we try to do the exercises along with you. It's sort of that doctor heal thyself. And it's, sometimes you have to point back at yourself like, wow, I know these things, but am I practicing them? And it's been very interesting how easy it is for me and my entire family to give. I mean, we will put things out, but we don't always give to ourselves first. And so as we've been discussing it as a family unit, we decided, guess what? We won't have anything to give if we don't give to ourselves first.
Sure.
So another way of getting your mindset around appreciating and gifting yourself is so that you can get out there and give service and do for others. So we have been very fortunate this year. We gave out our first scholarship to a college student. We did our acts of service with a virtual reading hour yesterday for the little ones. Oh my God, it was so much fun. And they were just so animated and so much fun. My nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews, they're just so talented. And to see the young people growing up in that mindset and getting them to understand. Now you also are paying yourself too. And we actually put some of them on payroll this week too, which was great. That was really good because they're working on the website. They're building things. It's a business. It's work.
Absolutely.
And so we're like, we appreciate that you're giving your gifts and your talents, but this particular thing is work that we would have to pay somebody for. So you're going to be the person that we pay. I'm going to interview you and see if you fit the part. So paying yourself first allows you to give back to others. And I can't wait to meet our money coach, who's going to teach us a little bit about how to put that money in order so that we can pay ourselves. And I also want to bring up one more thing. I hope everybody has their mason jars and you have added your $1 additional or $3 additional or $5 additional for this week. So that would be, remember, you're adding $1 a week. You're doubling up whatever it is. If you did 1, you did 2 the second week, you should be at 3 this week. Is this our 3rd week?
4th week. Believe it or not, we're
4 this week. So you do the 3, 6, 9, 12, 5.
I know. I looked at my deposit for the week is $36, which will bring me to $90 in my jar. So definitely making progress. So anyway, without any further ado, why don't we go ahead and bring on our guest. Our guest today is Tracie Weathers. And again, she is a money coach. Tracie is a successfully retired corporate executive and is in her follow-up business that she and her husband started so that she could really get out and help people. And she has an ambitious goal of helping, I think it's up to 100,000 or more people really understand how money works, but put themselves in better financial position. So I'll go ahead and invite Tracie to join us. Good morning, Tracie.
Welcome, Tracie.
Good morning. Thank you, doctors, for having me. I just love your energy. It's awesome. Awesome.
We're excited, and we're so excited to have you. We've been talking about both this money and mindset, and the funny backstory was that our show really emerged out of Dr. Thyonne watching me because we were in Jamaica together for 2 months, and I decided that I wanted to extend the stay, and she was leaving, and even Sterling was like, how's she gonna leave you there? We don't do that. We don't go
together.
So I convinced her and showed her everything that I was planning to do. And like, a good friend, she gave the okay.
I was looking all through the room like, well, where are you staying? Who's going to be? And then I had an imaginary person that I was like, and so-and-so's going to be here tomorrow, just talking out loud. It's like, oh no, she's not going to be here by herself. And Marlon, you'll be back tomorrow, right? Talking to the driver, telling the driver. And Marlon, remember, you have to pick up the people, and then you'll be back tomorrow.
Right. They had it set up.
But then I also said, and Dr. Money, you've been wanting to do this show anyway, so let's get on live every day.
Well, I can have eyeballs on you.
She was like, every day? No, every day. We could just call in. No, I'm going to see you. And then
I love it.
And you're going to be live where everyone else can see you too. So yeah, you're not going to be on here with a hangover. If you have a hangover, you're going to look right. You're going to look right. Doing good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. 2 months in Jamaica. That sounds like fun, ladies.
I know. I'm on my way back in the next few weeks. And so, yeah, it's exciting to be able to make those jaunts now back and forth with some sense of regularity. It's like, yay, things are happening. But so anyway, after that beginning, what we discovered was, we began to create audience, and certainly we believe in the content that we're sharing, and so we've been grateful that people have been interested in the content and following along. And so when we started planning the show for this year, I said, as we're talking about finance, and I know one person that I think would have a great contribution for sure in this context around how money works. But also, before you jump into that, feel free to elaborate a little bit further if you want about your background and maybe what made you move into this particular role and what's fueling your passion behind.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you again for the opportunity to address your audience and to meet you, Dr. Thyonne. Very nice to meet you.
Yes.
So Stephanie and I, can I tell this story, Stephanie?
Yes, you can.
Stephanie out of the bottle story.
So Stephanie and I, I retired from Xerox Corporation. I was there for 32 years, and I retired as a general manager for public sector operations. So I had a wonderful career at Xerox. I loved Xerox. They loved me. But I always knew that there was purposeful work that I needed to do. I didn't know what that work was going to be necessarily. I thought about law school, like our Dr. Steph here. I thought about that. I thought about a lot of things, but I really didn't think about this, to be perfectly honest. But I just wanted to make sure that the time that I have on this earth, that I impact people's lives in a positive way. And so that was the work that I wanted to do. And so I just kind of started thinking about that, really thinking about that. And, I am very spiritual. And so I know that when you ask God for something, he absolutely shows up. And this just happened to show up. But back to Dr. Stephanie. So my husband and I embarked on this journey to build this company that, we're really proud of and excited about. I was on the LinkedIn at the very beginning of the LinkedIn. Actually, it was a requirement of Xerox to get on the LinkedIn. And so I was on the LinkedIn and I saw her name. It just pops up, boop, Dr. Stephanie Ardrey. I'm like, okay. So I just, this is my first time on LinkedIn, so I don't really even know what to do. I'm like on it for 3 hours before I realize I don't have 3 hours to be on LinkedIn. Anyway, so I start reading about her and I'm thinking, wow, she's dynamic. Oh my God, she's amazing. I want to know her. Okay. Now I don't know how this thing works. And so I click something that connects us. Okay. And so she responds back. Okay. She wants to connect. Now I'm like, okay, what to do now? I have no idea what to do. I don't want to be a cyber, I don't know. I don't want to be a stalker or anything for her. I mean, how do I connect with her, right? So I don't know how to do it, so I let it go. So I'm going to get my hair done. And on the station of my person that does my hair, there's a little flyer and it says, there's going to be a business kind of a seminar, and there is Dr. Stephanie Ardrey. Name. She's a presenter. And I'm like, oh, this is the lady I want to meet. And so I did kind of come off like a stalker. And so when I go to the event, my only purpose in being there was to meet her. And so after she does her talk, there's a line of people that want to talk to her, right? So I'm in this line and I wait until they're getting ready to start the next session. And I wait until I'm able to speak to her and introduce myself. I told this whole long story. I have to say it really fast because we have to get out of the room. So I have to say it really, really fast, right? And so she's like this. I guess we were supposed to meet, strange girl. But so give me a call at my office. Anyway, long story short, that was probably, Steph, what's that, like 5 or 6 years ago?
Exactly. And we've become fast friends. So it was right. Oh my right idea.
Yeah, so much in
powerful mindset story. We talk about visualization.
Exactly.
There it is.
Out there and you manifested it.
There it is.
That's so manifesting what you want. That's right.
That's so true.
Quickly, that's the part that people forget sometimes about the universe. When we say what we want, the Almighty and the ancestors are ready to deliver. A lot of times why we don't receive is because we have not even asked, or we haven't asked with clarity and conviction, right? Faith is about acting. So when you declare it, then you start acting on it. Most people speak it and then they just pause like, okay.
Now, so Tracie, you manifested Dr. Money into your life.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about how you transitioned from Xerox into the business that you're in and a little about the business.
Right. So my husband actually said that he was concerned that he didn't have a retirement plan. He had started his own company. We had come to an agreement that he would do that after he had been laid off from his IT job that he had had for a while. And we had been talking about starting our own company because we are of the belief that if you are not a business owner in these United States, you will never get to wealth. Okay, so we knew that we would have to do that. And so we agreed that my husband would start his company. So he did. And so after a couple of years of being in his company, he said, I'm concerned that I don't have a retirement strategy or retirement plan. Now, even though he had been in corporate America for 25 years, things happen. Okay. And he did not have what he felt like he should have. He was approaching 50 years old. Well, I personally didn't think about money at all. I just knew we had to make money. And so as long as we were making money and everything looked good, I thought it was good. That's because I had no money education. None. Where do we learn about money, doctors? Who teaches us about money? right? So if you don't come from a family that teaches money concepts, and Dr. T, I see that you come from a family that teaches service, which is wonderful, right? And a lot of our families teach service, but what about money? Where do we get our money education? It doesn't come in school. You know, I graduated from Loyola Marymount University with a business degree, all right? But nobody taught me about my own money, okay? Taught me how to manage Xeroxes, though, and I did that really well. Okay.
Absolutely.
My own money, not so much. Okay. And so my husband said that to me, and I kind of didn't think much of it, quite honestly. I didn't know what to do with it, that he was concerned. And then a dear friend of mine said to me, she was learning about money and she was being taught. And, you know, she was actually learning about retirement. That's what she said. She talked about retirement. And I thought, you know what, whoever's teaching you this needs to talk to my husband. And because he just said that he's looking for this. And so they went and they met with my husband and shared what I would share with someone that I was speaking with, the information. And he said he liked it. And he said, you know, you need to come and meet with my wife. And so I'm a little different than my husband. I've been trained by Xerox to professionally vet everything. To ad nauseum, actually. And so I, you know, he's not like that. He's like, ready, set, go. I'm kind of like, well, what about, think about this, think about that, all that. Right. So anyways, I, you know, was like, who is this? And who's this company? What is this? What's going on here? Anyways, when they came to the house to share the information, what struck me as different, doctors, was that they started from a place of education, and no one had ever done that. Everybody that we've had money with, and that's been a lot of people, nobody ever explained to us how money worked. And so once I got that knowledge, and of course we did what we need to do for our family, then we realized that if we don't know this, there must be a lot of people out there that don't know as well. That then woke up what was inside of me to do the purposeful work. And so then we embarked on this journey, and it's been quite the ride. We've got about 5 offices now and 200 people that work with us. And it's just been a phenomenal work. And so
I love the educational aspect. And you're right. We've been talking about educating yourself and making sure that you start learning about money. But you're right. Where do you go to get this education? And a lot of people don't know. Do you think you go to school, you learn your reading, your math, what was it? Reading, writing, arithmetic. That's what it used to be. And it's supposed to equip you with your life skills.
That's right.
It actually doesn't. It doesn't prepare you for all the hoops and everything that's going to happen with money. And I also love you're talking about how you vet things through. I have a friend that you may know because she vets things ad nauseum as well. She was a former business partner and was very beneficial in that. And we're still really good friends. Kim Bailey. Do you know Kim Bailey?
I feel like I know that name. I don't know how.
Forever. And
okay.
And so
I feel like I know that name though.
Everyone I know at Xerox does that. They know how to vet through things. And I love that corporate training and how you've incorporated it into what you do. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about what your business does? How do you educate people?
Yes. So what we do is we teach how money works. And so that seems like a very broad term, but let me share a few things with you. So have you heard this 5% versus 95%? Have you ever heard that before? 5% versus 95%. When I tell you what it actually means, you'll say, oh, yeah, sure. 5% of the population controls 95% of the wealth. Now, everybody's like, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. But how does that really make us feel? See, I quickly located myself with the 95%, not the 5. Okay. And so it doesn't matter how much money you make. What matters is how much money you keep. There lie the problem. How do we keep our money? Right. And so I started really studying those 5% and what things do they know that 95% of the population does not know? Well, first out, they control money. Okay. Whereas 95% of the population money controls. Now, most people in the 95%, like myself, would say, oh, money doesn't control me. You know, money doesn't control me. But I was the person that had to figure out how I was going to put 2 kids through college at the same time, totaling $56,000 a year. Where does a person get an extra $56,000 a year? Now, they were not supposed to be in college at the same time. but one of them didn't get the memo. So they both graduated same year within months apart. So that's just how it went down.
God bless you on that one.
God bless you. He has. Thank God he has. But so who's in control? Am I in control? No, the money's in control, right? But even bigger than that, doctors, is the whole mentality around money. With the top 5%, some people call them 1%, some people call them 2%, it doesn't matter. It's 5%. With the top 5%, they think about things differently. Their mentality around money, very different. They believe in driving income up. But how? Through multiple income sources. Most people in the 95% have one, maybe husband and wife work, two income sources, maybe one side hustle, three, maybe. Okay. But most people, just one. So multiple income sources, 5 to 7. But for what purpose? Now we know that they have these income sources, and some of those need to be passive, by the way. But for what purpose? For the purpose of saving. Nobody talks about that. For the purpose of saving. They know you save 10% of what you earn. Okay, 10%, you will have an okay life. Now, ladies, let me help you with okay. I don't want an okay heart surgeon. I don't want an okay pilot. I definitely don't want an okay financial future. Okay. So they know if you save 10%, it'll be okay. 20%, it'll be better. Okay. 30%, it'll be, better than that. But the magic number is 40%. Have you ever heard that? 40% of what you earn, you should be saving. That's called an amazing life. Wow.
So you teach people how they can save 40%? Because
yes,
when you start thinking about at least a California lifestyle, most people will tell you
impossible.
Not even a lifestyle just to live in California. Let's not say lifestyle, because lifestyle makes you start thinking that we headed back to Jamaica. That's not what we're talking about.
Couple weeks, get your ticket.
That's right. Well, you might but most people, that 95%, are living from paycheck to paycheck.
That's right.
Interestingly enough, it doesn't mean the 95% are the $15 an hour or the $20.
No, they're not. They're the $300,000, $400,000 a year people.
Seven-figure people.
Yes.
And so talk to us a little bit about how to manifest that 40% savings.
Okay. Well, they also are driving expense down. Okay, now listen, don't get scared. Doesn't mean that they don't enjoy life and have nice things. We see that, right? So we know that. But what expense is the one that's coming at us like a freight train that we can't even see is taxes. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with taxes. I believe in taxes. When I call for the fire department or the whoever, the police, whatever, they come. So I like that. Right? I like that when I drive down the street, I don't have to get out and move mattresses and things. I like that, right? But I also believe that we should pay our fair share. So they are always looking for opportunities to drive tax down. Okay, you probably don't know this, but Amazon, I believe, paid no tax last year. Okay, I don't know how. They know how, though, right? Unfortunately, most of us in the 95% don't have a tax protection strategy. So that's one of the things that I teach. What is your tax protection strategy? Because if you can protect some money from tax, you'll free some money up to save. See?
That's true. That's really true. And a lot of times, I was just having this conversation with a couple of clients of mine. The government with the pandemic has created tools to help small businesses, but because of this fundamental lack of understanding and even the difference between when we talk about taxes, so often people run and have someone prepare their taxes at the end of the year to meet a filing deadline or to meet their quarterly returns. But that's a flawed approach to being informed and preparing for taxes. You have to plan. And the planning begins at the beginning of the year, not at the end of the year. You need to plan and have a strategy, because when you plan in advance before things happen, then you have an opportunity to make some course corrections if need be. The
Absolutely.
problem that I see so often is that people run in and have somebody prepare their taxes, and it's after the fact. It's like driving, looking in your rearview mirror. You've done everything now. There's not a lot that can be done. There's some last minute fixes, but what I see as a common solution is there's a load up on expenses, even if they're authentic, and the company ends up filing a loss or, just barely breaking even as a way to mitigate their tax liabilities. But what that does is that kills the ability to grow their companies. Because if you're not making money, if you're not showing that you earned money that you have at the bottom line, then that unfortunately was a criteria for things like your payroll protection program loan, for your EIDL loan, which were meant to be disaster funding, but you still had to show that you were running a profitable business.
Right.
And, yeah.
So
you can mitigate the taxes if you plan and you have other strategies, but you need to do that on the front end, not on the tail end.
Right. So tax planning is, especially for the business owner, it needs to be an every month activity. It's not one that, like you said, we rush to prepare. So we do help the business owners with their tax planning strategies. And what we also teach, I know we're running out of time here, we also teach our, the three enemies to, building wealth. And the three enemies are inflation, taxes, and risk. And so really identifying, how do we make sure that the money we set aside, I see you all have your savings in your mason jars, and that's awesome to get into the habit. That's awesome. But that money is losing money if it's not outpacing inflation. So inflation is 3% every year. And so if your money is not earning more than 3%, then you're losing money. So the idea of saving in the mason jar is a wonderful idea to get people in the habit. But what we have to make sure of is that we get a good rate of return on that money. So that's something that I help with as well. And then the understanding the power of compound interest. I mean, we hear about it, at least I heard about it before I got in this business. We hear about it, but do we really understand how powerful it is? We know it can work against us, but how do we have it work for us? That's another thing that we educate on. And then taxes and developing a tax strategy. See, you can determine when you pay taxes on the money you set aside for your future. You can determine that. And so we help people understand how does that work? And then risk. So most people think if I put my money in the market, that's going to be my best option to grow my money. It is an option, not the only option. And so what we help our clients with are other options like an index strategy, which would allow you to participate in gains of the market, but not take any of the losses. Had you ever heard of that? Exactly. I hadn't either. It's been around 25 years. How come we don't know? See, that kind of thing. So that kind of education is what we provide. And there's more, but those things there are so important to us accumulating wealth. And it's so important for us to think about not just right now is important, but also think about legacy. That's our work. That's what they think about too, the top 5%. Always legacy. What are we passing on to the next generation?
Absolutely. That's so critical because that really struck again the passion and part of why this year with the launch of the Dr. Money Show is I realized that there were just so many tools and experiences and knowledge that I've gained over the year, not only in building, companies, watching companies succeed, watching companies fail because they don't all succeed.
Right.
Sometimes they become obsolete. And if you haven't prepared or recognized market dynamics, you could find yourself running a business that's on its way out, or a sector is being disrupted by someone else that realized there was an opportunity and you didn't prepare. So you're kind of caught off guard. And so what I really realized, though, that the big overarching objective was to help people create better companies so their entrepreneurial ventures would be more successful, more profitable. But why did I think that that was important? Because I felt that if you have business, if you have real estate, and if you understand how to use insurance as a tool, a wealth building tool, you have those three elements, then I pretty much did a reverse calculation and said, you don't have to really be too brilliant in a sense if you have all these things working together to ultimately create generational wealth. And so that became really important. And, you know, it became important some years back. We were doing a presentation, and I think at that time we were saying that if you were 35 or 40, you needed to have $5 million liquid in order to have enough to allow it to accumulate to the number that you needed for retirement. And I looked down and I said, 5 million liquid. Yeah, right. Right. You have that, right? Unless you know, and even when I thought about, you know, the highest earning companies, of course, yeah, I have that in stock and equity in my businesses, but most of my money was working in my business. So it's not like I'm taking the money out of the company and putting it in my private name. No, it's in my corporation. It's in the retirement plan for my employees and all that. You know, so it's like making sure that also with those investments, that there's that diversification. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Money and Tracie, you guys have just spoke a word today about mindset and getting our mindset to receive the education that's out there. There are people that can help us, like Tracie, like Dr. Money, in terms of money. And Tracie, I think some of the things you've taught us a lot today, and I want to give a shout out to some of our regulars who are on here. Greg Sneed, when you were speaking, said rule of 72.
That's it.
Some of the things, and then Kenyon, who's here, he's just saying you're on fire. So just let you're on fire. But you talked about the idea of multiple income streams.
Yes,
that's one of the concepts that we've promoted. Also about putting that money in a place that could earn some interest. So Dr. Money had said you start with the jar, but maybe once a month you take that out the jar, you put it in something where you can make more interest. And it's funny because I said, even if you put it in your bank account where you're making 2%, she was like, no. We need to put it someplace where you can.
Well, first we have to find a bank account that can make 2%.
Exactly. That makes sense. So we talked about some ideas of where you can put that money to at least get where you're above inflation. Sure. And I think one of the biggest concepts you talked about is this idea of, in America, if you're not a business owner, you're probably not going to get to wealth because you got to own something. That ties into the multiple income stream. So you can still be an employee, but that little part-time business or something that you're doing is where you can begin to save that 40% that you need for the lifestyle, for an amazing lifestyle.
Amazing.
And boy, that was really speaking something into me. I'm sort of like 40%. I thought I was doing good, saving 20%. Average now, I need trips. I need something better than that. You know?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for your time and allowing me to share. I'd love to come back and talk with you again and your audience at another time. I got so much to share. One thing I would like to say is that I don't know if I can share, if any way I can share my information. If anyone would like to speak with me, I can be reached at. I don't know if it's a way for it to come up on the screen here.
Well, tell me what information and I'll see if I can.
Okay. One thing I want to say first is that my services are free to the client. Now, that, you know, people think, what the heck does that mean? I am not a nonprofit. I'm a very profitable business, but my services are free to the client. So even if you think you have it all put together, then I'm just a second pair of eyes on it, you know, a second opinion, right? Because the financial industry is constantly changing. And so they're coming up with new things, better things. So when I hear people say I'm set, I worry about them because you can never be set until you're no longer here. So we have to always stay abreast of, and if we take care of our money the way we take care of our children, it will not fail us. So you can reach me at tracie.weathers, WEATHERS @ yahoo.com. And I'd be happy to connect with your audience. I would love that. I think you all are doing tremendous work. Keep up the great work. And in any way that I can be of assistance, please let me know that.
And Tracie, do you have a website?
So I have a company website, www.syncis.com.
Is that a S as in Sam? Y-N?
It is.
S-Y-N?
CIS.com.
Yes.
Yeah, so I released it all into the chat, so it should show up on all the pages under the presentation, your contact information.
Thank
Tracie,
you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to be reaching out, and believe me, I think what you just said is important too. Most of the time people say they're set. Whenever someone says to me they have some opportunity or something, first I ask them, now, do I have to put a lot of money into it? I already am putting a lot of money in different places. Are you trying to make money off of me, or are you trying to make me make money? We need to be clear on that first. And but I always listen. I'm open to hearing what it is and listening. And I've even had some people review some of the things that I have. And like you said, having another set of eyes has given me confidence, because it was where I learned some things I had. I didn't even know what I had. I just opened up and thought, well, it sounds like a good idea. And I get insurance.
And maybe it was a good idea at the time. Right. But because things have changed, our world has changed tremendously, right? This in 2020, our world changed tremendously. Well, so did financial product.
Yeah.
Yes. And so having a second set of eyes, people can say, this was good then. This is what we're doing now. Or this was good. Who did that?
Exactly. Which is what I will say. Yes. I'm not tied to any one company, so I'm not representing anyone. And so I'm representing the client. And that's why I call myself a coach. What my job is to teach you how to play the winning money game, because it is a game and you got to know the rules in order to win.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Dr. Money, you want to close us out?
Yes, I want to thank everyone again for tuning in to Money and Mindset with the Doctors. We had a great conversation today with our guest, Tracie Weathers. Her information is available in the chat. And so now that we're coming to you once a week, we will see you again next Tuesday, same place, same time. In the interim, feel free to engage with the content on the various social media platforms. Definitely invite a friend. We hope to see more people next week. And with that, we're going to sign off.
Bye.